She just took a picture.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Nelson. Palmer. Porter. Sullivan. Walden.
Here. Approval of the minutes. Motion to approve minutes in June 3rd, 2026, council meeting. I'll make the motion. 1 second. Okay, roll call.
Walden.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Porter. No. Palmer.
No.
Nelson. Bradshaw.
No.
And that's a tie. Bill.
Yes. Approval of the bills. Motion to approve payment of bills as they appear on warrant sheets. I'll make the motion. I'll second. Okay, roll call.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Palmer.
No.
Porter.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Walden.
Yes.
I didn't sign off on general, because, on there it says 213 Church Street in Assumption, we don't have a Church Street.
Supposed to be 213 Sarah Street.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Andrew, on your bill, that's supposed to be Sarah Street.
There was 3 errors on your bill.
Okay.
Because another one was, one of the lots, it said lot 6, and to my knowledge, lot 6 is not sold.
Yeah.
It mentions that on one of them. It's 7 and 9.
Yeah, it's the two,
7 and 9 has
Yeah.
sold, but they also talk about lot 6, but to my knowledge, lot 6 did not sell.
not that I know of anything either. So it's probably just a grammatical error on my
Right.
apologize for that.
Along with the church, that was written twice.
And then, I seen where there's 2 lawyer payments, one for you and one for Andrew on there for $17,000. Or Steve. What's that? I mean, we pay him and you to discuss something, or?
So both of us will appear on the bills. So Steve and I are working together on this matter, on all the matters for the city. So yeah, there will be times that both Steve and I will appear on invoices for the city.
It just caught my eye because of $17,000, that is.
And that would be both, I talked with Steve about that today. I believe that was both for April and May, so it's two.
Right.
Yes. And we had a lot of foils in at that time.
And who's Travis Robertson on there?
That's one of the defendants that we're pursuing in the Ward's case.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just seen his name on it quite a bit, I just questioned. So after this round, the dial building uptown, the city shouldn't have no involvement in it, correct? Shouldn't he take over, so
It'd be all it is.
we shouldn't have no lawyer fees to do with that building no more?
It should be like that already.
It's on that bill,
Yeah.
It's on that side.
this month's bill.
Yeah.
in April.
And if he took ownership on the way, we're still paying lawyer fees or lawyer support. But that's all I have. That's the only reason why I just sign off on it.
So with the dial court, that one is still pending in the orders court. While the new owner is taking ownership of the property, we continue that matter generally just to make sure that the ordinance violations are being abated. And so long as that's corrected, yeah, we're not touching it, we're making sure that he's abating the ordinance violations, but that's where that's coming from. So it's still pending in the ordinance court.
What bothers me is the amount spent on about the land where the wells are, and nothing's been accomplished.
So I don't know if you want me to get into that at this point right now.
Let's wait till we get down to you. Andrew will talk about that. So let's go public comments.
I got one thing, and so I watch all of your meetings, and so I just kind of want to say some things for context, because I feel that, I mean, there was one thing you guys took 5 minutes and 3 seconds on, in which, I wish that was a lot, because I could have easily have texted you the answer, but, like, to build some context, you guys worry a lot about the covenants out there at the subdivision, and, you know, what the houses are gonna look like. So it kind of gives you some context how I got to the point of the covenants to where they are now. First off, you have the right to look at those architectural designs when they file the building permit. So when the building permit got issued, you have the right to look at those. And if they didn't file the building permit, you know, the house designs with the building permit, then they should have. Now, so that right there can kind of answer your questions if they're gonna have this type of a house to meet this type of specifications. And then with the covenants, originally, when I had worked with Royal Assumption, I was going to have the board approve everything. And then I got mumbles and grumbles from some board members because they didn't want to spend so much time in a meeting doing that. But I'll also kind of tell you, there's going to be such a thumbprint on people out there from people at Royal Assumption that you're not really going to have any issues. You're not going to have to worry about, oh, is this going to be a wooden fence instead of a vinyl fence? Because I'm already getting rumors that there is another lot that's going to be sold here later on, probably later this summer. And I mean, that's just, I don't even serve on the board, but people have told me. So I'm just kind of building some context that I don't think you guys really need to worry too much about some of the stuff at the subdivision in regards to what they're going to have or dealing with the covenants. And I can really bet you, the type of people that would probably build out there, if you threaten, like, if you do have a problem and they're not building to code, and if you just say, you know what, we'll just throw you with a lawsuit, I pretty will bet you that they will probably stop. They won't give you any issues. Because like I said, enough people will probably be on them. Another thing I want to talk to you about was the cow voting. So many people have asked, what can you vote in cow? The ordinance is very specific. 1-5-4 subsection 2 states financial bills that are timely in nature. I put that in with the board's approval so that we could get bills approved ASAP that needed to be done instead of, because we didn't want to do the special meetings because the aldermen got paid more during a special meeting than they would at the cow. So that's why I kind of put that language in there to help alleviate that. So I just kind of wanted to build you just some context on it because I know some things were said at the past meeting, and I talked to a couple of aldermen about some other issues, and it's all been resolved. So that's really all I got.
I would like to respond to both of those.
Yeah.
For the second one first. I was on council before, and it was not like that before. So when I spoke at the meeting, it was because I was speaking on my past knowledge.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that we need to do, I think, is bring our ordinance book more to council with us, so that we have it to look at. Just because there's been changes made.
Exactly. And all I did, and if you need something quick, you pull up the electronic version, just type in committee, and then I think there's like 46 different committee language in there, and you just find, that's how I found this, so. So I knew there was something in there, and
then on the first one with the subdivision, I was not aware that we had the opportunity to look at it before they filed for their.
When they filed the building permit. Now, from my understanding, when I was mayor, you also filed the plans of anything that you were having built with the city. Because I know I got to see, when I signed up on the building permit, there was sheds that was in there. Not really anything with fences. A few people had drawings of fences, but yeah, they should. I think that's an ordinance, that they have to file the building plans. Because if not, I mean, if you think about it, you're going in there blinded.
Bill, do you know if they did that?
Yeah.
They did?
Okay.
You got the plans.
In the future too, just my opinion, is maybe the zone, it should go to zoning. That's why we have a zoning board, I would think.
Well, I don't think it necessarily needs to go to zoning, in my opinion. I think because you're not changing you're not building a commercial building. I think this is what it should do. I mean, what I would do if I was an alderman is that if I see like a building permit, and maybe Janet could put on the collector's report, before Braxmeyer, maybe then that can trigger you to say, hey, I want to see this. Or just, hey, when I was mayor, I was like, you know what, you can never have too much information, and I plummeted everybody with too much information in their packets. So maybe just make a copy for everybody and give it to you in your packets, just so you can be aware of it.
So we have those plans somewhere.
Yes.
I would like to see them at some point.
Okay.
Right, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Communications from me. I'm trying to keep people cut grass, and so far we're doing fairly decent. We have a lot of things going on that appear to look like it'll make it. That's basically about all I got. City attorney?
So the first thing is I wanted to discuss the DMR reporting issue that we talked about the last council meeting. So as you may recall, the city received a notice of violation from IEPA with respect to timely submitting these DMR reports, these discharge monitoring reports. The city has responded to IEPA's notice with a letter with offering a commitment compliance plan. The city representatives also met with IEPA representatives concerning this proposed plan. We've also submitted a supplemental response to IEPA. We've received a response, and what IEPA is, they're not going to accept a compliance commitment agreement at this time. What they're going to do is refer this matter to the Office of the Attorney General or the Christian County State's Attorney. But what happens before that gets done, and what they're required to do under statute, is hold one more meeting with the city. What that is a final opportunity for city representatives to try and persuade IEPA that our offer for a compliance plan is acceptable. What happens at that point is either they accept it or they don't, then they refer it up to one of the two agencies. More likely, if they refer it upwards, it'll go to the AG's office. And at that point, the AG would once again have another meeting with the city and would work out a compliance plan, and there may be a monetary fine. Now, we're talking with Steve. Generally, IEPA and the AG's office do not like to seek monetary penalties against municipal government. That's not what they're trying to do. However, it's important that the city just know that these DMR reports are getting submitted, and it's got a plan in place. Jack has a lot on his plate, and so there's been another city employee that's been trained and equipped to help, gather and collect the data, and then get that to Jack for timely submission. Another thing that the city could do for control that I believe was previously done was there was an agenda item on the COW meeting reports for a council member to ask to see if Jack was there present or if there was another representative of the water department to inquire whether the DMR reports had been timely submitted or just what their status was. I think that's kind of fallen off the COW, so if that could be added back on the agenda and just going forward, that also would help as another additional control. So Steve and I just want to bring this to your guys' attention, just so if there is any further action, that this doesn't come as any surprise to the council, so you guys are all aware of what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah. The second thing I wanted to give an update on is on the Garwood lease or the easement. So Steve has spoke with Brad Fleetwood, and Mr. Fleetwood has sold that land to Ben Briggs last month. I believe from Steve talking with Jack that Ben has done some tiling or other work for the city. While we've been calling this a Garwood lease, it's actually a perpetual easement. This favors the city for drinking water. There is an easement that's been recorded. This easement allows the city to drill these exploratory wells for water supply and not to install more than 2 wells. The payment was for 1.5 at that point in time. It's increased to about $2,200, and that was due to an amendment to that easement that was recorded in 2000. Basically, the short and dry of it is that we're working on this. We've been in communication with Mr. Biggs. It's my understanding that Mr. Biggs does not want to enter any type of additional agreement until after the harvest is done this year. But that's actually good for the city because there is a setback. There's a 625 square foot setback. The city, I believe from talking with Jack, there are fences currently erected. From talking with Steve, the city could expand potentially expand the fencing around each of the wells to give additional protection if it wanted to, so long as it fits within the 620-foot square, that area within the wellhead. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. In addition, because of how deep the wells are, from talking with Steve, it doesn't believe that any of the pesticides potentially would be any cause for concern. It's more where I believe they said the aquifer, if I'm correct on that, I think that where the well is located, that may be that if there is anything, that would be the issue. So this gives the city additional time to see what specifically the setbacks need to be, what the issue is, and then potentially, draft a deal with Mr. Dick. So that's where we're at on the Garwood lease.
I am disappointed in the city and our attorney and our waterman, because I think we should have purchased this land when it was all up for sale. We should have purchased an acre or two right off the bat, so we would not have to deal with having an easement, another agreement with someone else. That's just my personal opinion. I think it was lacking in some people's duties.
Those are the updates that I had specifically. I'm happy to speak to things as they come up on the agenda if you guys have any questions on those two matters.
Okay, we'll move on to treasurer. Okay. Older persons. Everybody got it?
The old tornado siren, I did talk to Greg Butcher. We can switch it to one phase. And he told me if we need to decide a location where we want to put it, and then he would give us a price going forward on what it would cost to hook up. And we can activate it just like we do that one from a portable or whatever, so. There wouldn't be going out to the city shed or anywhere and pushing a button, you can do it from the portable, so. We do need me and Gary talked, we talked about the city shed, since there's power already there. It's probably gonna be our best bet, or we're gonna have to run power somewhere to cost more money.
And also, it's got a generator, so if something would happen, the generator would take care of that.
That one's solar, and there's no power on that one, that can keep it go back up right out there. And he told me to give it to you guys, see where a good location would be, and you look at it and go from there and give us a price. So he said the pole's probably gonna be about $1,000, but I talked to Gary, and we might have a plan of getting a free one, but we gotta look into that and see, so.
Ameren has been giving people, they've been changing these poles out on the blacktop and other places they've been, instead of hauling them away, they've been letting some people have them. So I can't imagine there's maybe one or two power companies that would give it a pole.
So everybody's good with the location at the city shed, put one up out there. I get with Butcher, or if anybody has any other ideas where to put one, let me know.
I think I can't think of a better location that's not gonna cost us extra money.
Exactly.
It seems kind of silly to, we don't want to put it, we have to almost cut half the town off
Right.
from options, because we don't want to put it too close to this one, because it's pointless. And the west and the south is always, ideally, I wish we had a city shed out by the Catholic church somewhere.
Yeah, that'd be ideal place to put it.
The cemetery,
Power and-
the cemetery or the Catholic church or would be ideal, but there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know, hour-wise, how much it would cost if we, we're already paying power out there, might as well just hook it up out there.
No, because there's no way to convert it to solar, I'm sure.
No, not that old.
Those batteries are
Yeah.
10 grand probably. Cool.
So if everybody's okay, I'll just tell them, look at the city shed, and go from there.
I'm good for it.
Thoughts?
I was just gonna talk about my comment for communication.
No, I meant for
Yeah, I'm
the
all-
tornado siren location. Are you fine with that? or-
Fine.
Everybody fine with
Yeah.
it?
Is it, need to be for a vote later, or?
Basically, we'll see, as long as we don't, we may have to do an agenda, item. If we have to buy it for Greg's bill, whatever it is, we'll do that on agenda item, but I think everything else we can almost piecemeal for free.
That's all I have. Okay, anybody else?
I do. I just wanted to inform everyone that I went ahead on my own and have made a flyer for us to have a 4th of July parade starting at 6 p.m. at the old tennis courts, the police department, and then the kids will ride their bikes to City Hall. Hopefully Janet is going to be able to get the key for us to open up here for Cromwell Lodge so that we can have the cake and cupcakes in here because of the weather. So if anyone can come and join, that would be great. Kids could come starting around 5:30 or so if they want to decorate their bikes up there a little bit. I spent $250 on supplies for the parade, and I am paying for the cake. If there's a problem with the expense, I will reimburse the city.
You said 5:30?
To line up, decorate, if kids need to come up and decorate if they don't have stuff. I purchased a couple little things to decorate, not a lot.
Sounds good to me. Move on to new business.
Before we go, I got a couple things. I want to address that, what was it, 1.5, what was the ordinance?
Oh, you mean on the cow?
Yeah. 1.5 section.
Yeah.
Writing it down.
I have it somewhere.
I mean,
It is 1-5-4 subsection 2.
Okay. My question is, does that negate ordinance number 774? I mean, what is, so basically.
Is 774 the spending ordinance?
Yes.
No, this just,
Doesn't negate that, they still can't spend above 250 without a
that's,
already
yeah,
signature on it.
that's correct.
Okay.
All this is just allowing you to put financial bills that are, timely in nature onto the agenda to be voted on in Cal. That's all this ordinance does.
Okay.
No.
I understand that there are going to be bills that come up where we got jobs going on and they need parts. I get it. And maybe whoever's on there, but there's 3 people on each board that can be contacted. And I mean, we've talked about the communication. It needs to open up. We need to know what's going on instead of I'll keep harping on it. Every meeting we come in here, blind. We don't know what's going on until we read the paper. So we need to know. I had no idea that there was sewer work being on Oak Street until I looked at the bill. To the tune of, $400 or $500, I think, $900, something like that.
That was the lift station, I believe.
Lift station?
Yeah, I think so.
It was listed as a sewer repair.
Yeah, it's a sewer.
The other thing is, the cameras in City Hall, are they put up yet?
No.
Okay, are they gonna get put up?
Yeah.
Because it's a safety issue, I mean, and I'm on health, so. I think if somebody gets hurt up at City Hall, they'll be knocking on my door. And I don't want that, so.
Nope, I have them, but I haven't got that far yet.
Okay, I'm not saying, hey, Bill, go put them up. You know what I mean? But they do need to be up.
I may call, hey, Rick, I come help me.
Yeah, I'll come help. I'm on the health. That's all I got. Okay, let's move on to our accountant, Adam Mathias, audit presentation.
All right. Hey, a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you who do not know me, my name is Adam Mathias. I own a CPA firm in Taylorville, and me and my team were here performing the annual audit a month or so ago. And I'm here tonight just to highlight the results of that audit, to go over the report a little bit with you, and just to let you know the different types of reports that we've had to issue this year. So first of all, as we've had to in past years, we do have to complete what's called a GATA report. That was introduced by the state probably a decade ago now. Time flies, so I'm guessing it's been a little while now. And it's just a separate way that we have to present and report grant activity to the state, and we have to give an opinion on that. We've prepared that report for you. You don't have that in front of you, but I did leave a master copy of it with Angel, so she's got that if you want to take a look at it and drop by sometime. And we will get that electronically filed for you tomorrow, so that'll be taken care of. Another report that we have to do for you, because of all the projects that you have going on, and because it involves a lot of federal money, the federal government requires that we do what's called a single audit. So with a single audit, we have to do a lot of compliance checks and work as it relates to that grant activity. Reviewing the grant agreements, making sure that we have followed all the different requirements of the grant agreement, and also gaining an understanding of all the controls that we have in place to ensure that that whole process is working the way that it should. So we did perform that audit as well and issued a separate report on it. That got uploaded today to the federal government, so you're taken care of with that. Then the state of Illinois also requires an AFR. That's from the comptroller's office. They have not released that software yet. Traditionally, they release it sometime around July. Sometimes it's June, sometimes it's August. As soon as they release that software, we will get that filed for you and taken care of, and that's done electronically as well. Once we submit that, then the city will reach out to the TIF people, and then they have to file a comptroller report as well. It's different than the one we do. We do a financial one. Theirs is more about just the TIF itself. So today, tomorrow, and next month, all of these things will be accomplished for the city so that you'll be in compliance with all of the different agencies, you know, that have a requirement for you to file a report with, okay? As far as what you have in front of you is our bound audit report. And I thought I would just highlight to you the items that are in here, okay? So in this report, if you'll flip past the table of contents, the first report that we issue, so it'll be on our letterhead, the first of 3 reports that are in here is the audit report itself. At the top it says Independent Auditor's Report. And it's on pages 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, it's a 4-page report. This is the report that just says we did the audit, the regular audit, and that we believe the numbers in this report to be materially accurate. Okay, so when we're here and we're doing the audit, we're looking at invoices, we're looking at deposit support, we're testing all of that. Sometimes we come across something that might need to be moved to a different category or whatever, and so those adjustments have been made, and so this is saying the numbers in here after the adjustments have been made are materially accurate, okay? So this is what we call an unmodified opinion, or clean, so it's what, you know, the agencies expect and require, okay? On page 5 and 6, that's our second report that we issue on our letterhead. At the top, underlined, it says Government Auditing Standards. So this is a report that we have to issue that identifies whether or not we came across any internal control related matters that we believe need to be disclosed in the report, or whether or not we came across any compliance related matters that need to be disclosed in the report. Since you have a single audit, this report refers to a page where you can find those comments, okay? And that would be on page 49. It's way back towards the back where the single audit stuff is, okay? So on page 49 is where you will see the two items that we have noted in the report. One has to do with internal controls due to the size of government that you are. You have this each year, and it's very common. Pretty much all of our entities have this, except for some of the larger entities that have 4 or 5 different people in the accounting department. So this is just saying that not all of the accounting functions are segregated, but it is saying here, if you look at the response down below, due to your limited financial resources, due to your size, of course, the city cannot hire enough employees to segregate all of the different accounting functions. So for example, if you had enough accounting personnel that one person could do payroll, one person could do vendor payments, one person can reconcile the bank accounts and separate all of those things. That's what this is saying. It's just the way governments are structured, local governments, with a clerk and a treasurer and a billing, person. So there's really no action that you need to take on this. It's just something good to talk about each year and just to be aware of, because it highlights your importance as a board of a small town entity, okay? And I know that's come up several times here tonight, so I can see that everybody is engaged and asking questions, and that's good, because that's what, needs to happen, right? We need to be watching the finances, watching the bills, that provides those checks and balances. So it's like a compensating type of control. It doesn't eliminate the fact that we're a small local government and not all of the accounting functions are segregated, but it certainly helps limit your exposure, when committees are looking at things and the board are looking at things closely. So I encourage you to continue to do that, but no action is required on this, okay? The second item, it has to do with budget compliance. We have to identify any time that a government entity spends more than what they budgeted. And you guys did go over budget. This is also a very common, item that we have to disclose, because there's a lot of things happening with any government, and in your case, you have lots of things happening with all these projects, right? And so unforeseen things sometimes can happen very easily. And so this just states which funds went over budget. And of course, the recommendation is that, we carefully consider all of our expenditures. And of course, it is always an option for the village to amend their budget late in the fiscal year. A lot of entities do that if you see that you're going to be over budget in a particular fund. So those are the only 2 things that we have listed in the report. And again, those are very common items, and you won't really have any issues with any government agencies as it relates to that, because like I said, it's very common. The last report that we issue is on page 7, 8, and 9, also on our letterhead, and this has to do with the single audit. Okay, this is basically the report that states that we did the single audit and that we believe that you are in compliance. Okay, so this is also what you would call an unmodified or clean opinion. So a very clean report, for a small entity. As clean as you could get would just be the segregation of duties, so the compliance thing is really the only thing that you can work on, just making sure that you monitor that closely in the new fiscal year. As far as any other recommendations that we have, we really didn't have any for you this year. Everything went very smoothly with the audit process. We were able to find everything that we needed, to find, so that's good. So now I'll shift and talk about the numbers a little bit, and then we'll open it up for questions after that. As far as the numbers are concerned, I passed out some color charts for you, okay? These numbers correlate, of course, with the numbers that are in the audit report, but I'm able to show you a history by doing it this way, and a better snapshot of where things are at that's a little easier to follow in such a short, time frame that we have here to discuss the numbers, okay? So this can show you trends on what's happening with your cash, your revenues, and your expenses. So what I'm going to focus on in this discussion is just highlighting for you, what happened to cash in each fund and what the big changes were from the prior year to the current year in revenues and expenses, okay? So it won't take long, but I'm just going to highlight those items for you. So in the general fund, you can see from this chart that your cash balance has gone down a little bit from the prior year. You ended the year with $805,591 in the general fund, okay? That's a decrease of about $117,000 from the prior year cash balance. Now, before we talk about revenue and expenses, I'll walk you through how cash decreased by $117,000 when we had $157,000 of net income. Because logically, you would think cash would go up, right? But this chart just focuses on your operating revenues and expenses, okay? There are some items that affect your cash that aren't operating revenues or expenses. For example, we spent about $80,000 in the general fund to purchase what we call fixed assets or capital assets, items we depreciate, okay? And that takes cash, all right? We don't include those in the expense chart because we like to try to keep the expenses at just operational level so it's easier to compare apples to apples and changes that happen each year. And then, if all of you remember, we had the home rule or the 1% tax, come into effect several years ago, and the board voted to use that money in the utility funds. I'm assuming for the repayment of, these obligations that we're incurring to do all these projects. And so that is actually general fund revenue, okay? But then we transfer it out. So that money is being transferred out to the utility funds. And our transfers out for the year was about $240,000. Not all of that was the 1% money. Some was just other monies when we needed to transfer between funds. But most of it was, okay? And then we had $45,000 coming the other way, coming in, okay, which would be a positive effect on cash, from a repayment of an interfund loan that we had. I believe it was the TIF fund, right? Angel, yeah, paid back the general fund.
Yeah.
So that's why, you had all those things together, and that's why cash went down some. The revenues, you can see, have been, fairly stable or level when you compare just the last 2 years. It went from $923,000 to $909,000, so about $15,000 decrease. The biggest components of that change, of that $15,000 decrease, was taxes, okay? So property taxes were down by about $3,000. But that don't count TIF. We'll talk about it in a second because that went up, okay? That's in a different chart. So just general fund property taxes were down just a little bit. Illinois taxes, you get taxes for several different reasons from them, gaming and sales tax and other reasons. That was down by about $15,000. Sometimes that can be due to timing difference, and sometimes it can just be due to the economy and the level of activity that is occurring at the different places here in town. And then permits and fees were down by about $4,000. And then police SRO income was up by about 11. So all those things net to most of that decrease that I talked about there. Expenses went from $715,000 to $751,000. So that's a $36,000 increase in expenses. There's several things impacting here, some to the good and some not, okay? I'll start with the good. Legal was down $10,000. Streets, repairs and maintenance down $10,000. Police supplies down $27,000. So all those things were down, but that means something was up, right? And that was salaries. Salaries was up by about $86,000. I took a look at that to see which categories, because the general fund accounts for 3 different types of things for the most part: administration, streets, and police. okay? Admin was up by about 24,000, streets 10,000, and then police was up by about 52,000. And I know there were some changes in personnel last year, and I think we had to pay out, some accumulated time, when those changes happened, which took a little bit of that money, and then of course there's raises and things like that as well built into these numbers. But all those things net to that $36,000 increase in expenses. The next chart is special revenue. This would be your special levies like Social Security, IMRF, unemployment, and also TIF and motor fuel tax are in here, okay? You can see that balance is about the same as the year before, just a little over $1 million of cash on hand in those funds. Revenues, you can see there was up 62,000 over the prior year. Part of that was TIF property tax, that was up 38,000. And then interest income was up 20,000. We have some money sitting in a CD for the motor fuel tax fund that generated some good revenue for us compared to the year before. And then expenses, you can see, were fairly level between the years. These monies have to be spent for certain things, so we don't spend a lot of time going over this chart. It's, money's in and money's out usually. You have such a healthy balance in this fund, mainly because, you got a good amount of motor fuel tax money sitting to the side that you guys got, I believe, from when the 4-lane went in, if I'm not mistaken.
Jurisdictional transfer is what it was.
What's that?
The jurisdictional transfer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yes. So this fund, these funds look good. So let's talk about the utility funds now, and that'll be it. We'll start with the water fund. Lots of stuff happening, right? We have all these projects going on. So I'll walk you through this. Cash on hand, you can see there, is at $411,000. That's a $352,000 increase. The Cliff Note version is, if you've been on the board for a while, you might remember this. When these projects first started, the city had to front some of the money because the grant and the EPA money was not coming in yet. This past fiscal year, they finally reimbursed us for all of that, okay? And so that was a good chunk of this increase. It was, if I remember right, I didn't write that number down, but I think it was pushing 300,000. I think I told you the amount, somewhere around 300,000. And so that was nice, getting that money back that we spent way back in fiscal year 20 and 21. And so that's why that increased so much. But it's up 352,000. Now we had a $14,000 net income. The rest of the non-operational stuff that affected cash, we had $2.8 million of debt forgiveness. We had almost $2 million in grants. We had that big one that was the congressional grant. I believe you helped secure that, if I remember right, Terry. That's the grant that paid us back for some of this money we spent originally. And then we have $4.6 million of capital outlay, which is the projects, that we got going on. And then we had loan payments, principal loan payments of about $139,000. And so all those things net to that increase in cash. As far as revenues and expenses go, revenues are up by about $17,000. We had similar usage because we do track usage as well. But, we do have rate increases that kick in usually each year, and so our revenue went up just a little bit there. And on the expense side, you can see that's up. It's up $32,000, and most all of that was just utility maintenance, just wear and tear type stuff that we have to have fixed that didn't necessarily relate to the projects, okay? And if you look at the sewer fund, the sewer fund had a little bit over $2 million in it. That cash increased by $142,000. Had a $23,000 net income, but again, a lot of stuff happening that changes our cash balance that aren't operating revenues or expenses. In this fund, we had $1.7 million of loan proceeds. We had 1.7 almost, a little less than 1.7 million of project costs, so that money was kind of in and out. We paid $115,000 of principal on debt, And we had 176,000 transferred in. That has to do with what I talked about earlier, the general fund, where we're transferring, that 1% money over. All of those things net to that 142,000. As far as revenues go, up 11,000, similar usage, just as I mentioned, but rate increases, ticks that number up just a little bit. And then on expenses, they were up 57,000, and the two big components there, we now have interest expense because these debt payments are starting to happen on some of the EPA money, okay? And that was up 32,000. And then the utility maintenance in this fund was up by about 19,000. So that's a snapshot of the numbers. Your cash balances appear to be healthy. You've got a lot of great things that are happening in the city. We got a lot of projects going on. The city has a lot of, positive things that, long-term are encouraging, I think, as far as, your proximity to Decatur, the 4-lane highway, the large employers that you have, that kind of stuff. And so the numbers look good and positive. I think next year, now that all these projects will wrap up, and then the debt payments will start for the remainder of the projects, we're definitely going to want to monitor that closely, make sure, that the 1% money coming in and the rate increases all balance the equation, right? So that we make sure that we can service that debt. But you've had so much going on for so many years, it's been kind of hard, to wrap your arms around that. But there's coming a time quickly, where it'll be much easier for you to plan and project and make decisions as to what you may or may not need to do, with rates and so forth. When this all started, of course, there was a cash flow analysis done by the engineers that kind of brought all that stuff together. But now that it's all coming to fruition, hopefully everything's going to work together the way, it was originally thought that it would. But a year from now, I'll talk to you more about that, because the projects will be done. And we'll have all that debt information ready to go. Speaking of the debt information, I will highlight for you, in case you're interested in that, in the report where you can find that. If you flip to page 28 of the report, it talks about each of the debt obligations that you have. First in paragraph form, so your governmental loans that you have to do with the infrastructure development and land purchase for the subdivision, okay? If you flip to the next page, it starts talking about the sewer and the water fund loans that you have. A lot of those are low interest loans, right, through EPA. But what you'd be most interested in is if you flip to the next page, there's a little summary schedule, okay, at the bottom of page 30. You can see at the bottom of page 30, the ins and the outs and the ending balances for each of your loans, okay? And for every one of these loans, the next couple of pages shows you how much principal and interest is due each year, year by year, just so you know and you have that information handy. And this even includes, like if you flip to page 33, for example, those two loans aren't complete yet because the project's still ongoing, but it shows pending disbursements, in the new fiscal year. But next year, these will be finalized too. We'll have good schedules for all of them. And like I said, that'll be a good tool for you and the board and the finance team to start looking at and kind of projecting for the future and making sure that everything balances together as I mentioned, as originally intended. So the report looks good, the numbers look good. With that, I want to make sure I let the board know we appreciated everyone's help when we were here. Angel and Tanya and Janet, the superintendents, Bill, when we needed something, they got it for us. We bring a team of people in here and just all of us are asking for stuff and looking at things at the same time. And we just really appreciate everybody's help with that. I mean, we even had, I forget her name, but the person that cleans too, bring donuts one day. Yeah, everybody's so nice and friendly, we appreciate that. And I just wanted to let you know that. But with that, I will open it up to questions. I'll try to answer them, but I know this is a lot of info. If I can't answer it, I'll look things up if I need to, and get back to you.
I appreciate what you've done, but obviously Angel and everyone else is doing a good job.
Do you remember the issues we had last year? Was that the same thing we had this year?
Yeah.
The same ones?
Yeah, well, segregation duties you'll have each year. But yeah, we were over budget the year before too, but it was a different fund.
Okay.
I think the year before was the TIF fund. We went over budget. And this year it's different funds. Yeah.
If I'm reading it right, just so I'm clear, the page 20, 28 and 29, those are our two main, only primary long-term debt obligations.
No,
And
those are the only two in what they call the governmental activities, so the non-utility funds.
Okay,
So the TIF fund, as we mentioned earlier, is a special revenue fund. So any general fund or special revenue fund loans would be in this section.
okay.
All the utility loans, if you flip the page, are in the next section.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have all together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay. So the one on page 30, am I missing something there, or is it, because we got the loan, but we got the entire loan forgave, but then it talks about repayments made over a 30-year period, but there's a zero balance, so. is
That is, if you go to page 33, that's one of the two I was talking about, where not all of the proceeds have been dispersed yet. Yeah, and that particular one, none of it's been dispersed yet, but it will be this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the one that we're basically wrapping up.
Yeah, there's a little bit on the one above, you see the 211,000.
Yeah.
And then that one is, between those two is what you're wrapping up. In fact, you probably already paid a lot of that out, because I think there were some payments, this is April, so in May and June, I'm sure you made some pretty decent sized payments to, is it Burdick or Petersburg?
Which projects are you referring? I don't mean to interject, but.
I've got the loan numbers, but it's these two.
I think the one that's currently zeros is the water.
Yeah, it has to be the water.
Wastewater per treatment.
Yeah, your
It's not the wastewater to
1686.
the plant.
And then the other two that'll be coming up are what you're signing on tonight, which is the final disbursement for the contractor, and then we'll go into full closure. Once you guys hit the full closure, that loan statement and that loan agreement, it settles up, balances out the contract for what we have for what's used, unused, and change orders and extras. And yes, you'll get that modified payment schedule that comes out. Just like he can't predict on the active projects what they're actually going to total out. We can give you guys a general idea when we enter into a contract, and that's stated. We have an overage percentage that we usually throw in for change orders, so on and so forth, unforeseens. So I think it's reflecting quite equally what we see on our side, so.
Yeah, and if you look at page 37, under contracts, this is probably what you're asking about. This actually shows the big contracts that are still outstanding as of April 30th, and it even shows approximately how much more money you had at April 30th to spend on those projects, which was about $104,000 in engineering fees and about $1.1 million in project costs. And the source of that money would be, from those loans that haven't fully funded yet.
So the one on like 30, those will end up being on multiple years budget pages, don't they? Because we've already gotten the, say, 2.5 million on 1 year's. So it looks like we got a bunch of money 1 year, and then we're gonna turn around a couple years later and pay a ton of money out, but it's gonna throw everything into a negative where it looks like we overspent.
Well, you're gonna have debt payments, yes, you're gonna have, principal and interest debt payments on all of these. But you will have that money from 1% coming over, and then, obviously you're just operational revenues as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying, at some point in time, the city is gonna want to do another projection probably and kind of look at those numbers and make sure that it's all balanced. This is, I think, a pretty fairly accurate summary of what your annual obligations are gonna be, but as he mentioned, it might not be exact, but it should be close.
I always like to, it helps. A lot of times when we do the budgets, they're like way out of balance because you got money in one year, money out in a different year. The general layman just sees the budget when they're done with it, and they're like, why are you passing a budget that's $400,000, to the negative? This is why.
I
They
can
don't
also
see-
explain a little bit of that too, and some of that's on the engineering side. When we go to procure you guys a new grant, there is, whether it be DOT, whether it be IEPA, the creation of the plans to actually get you into that grant work, and all those engineering studies and the environmental studies that go along with it usually tend to come out of general funds first off, and then after you get active into the loan and you reach that 50% portion of most of these loans, then you get that repayment back. So it's like a holdover time that they use your money to get the grant started, and then you have that repayment period. So yeah, you're gonna have influxes as you run, whether DOT or IEPA, any type of granting apparatus as you go along.
I just like to get it. I like to have you say it on the record because I don't think they believe us sometimes. So it's kind of nice to have the auditor say, yeah.
Well, and one of the short sides of my presentation, of course, is that this is historical. And all of it is historical. And right now, we're kind of mixing in future stuff with it. And so we try to be careful what we say, because we didn't really do any projections for you. That's not really what an audit is about. But at some point in time, I think the finance team, in conjunction with Angel, probably want to take a look at those numbers when we have the final numbers now. This is our annual debt obligation, and this is our 1% money coming over, and this is our revenues from customers, and just to make sure that everything's going to balance out the way that you hope. Now you have some reserves, right? So it's not like if things don't balance out, you're in trouble in year one. But if things don't balance out and become more stable as it relates to your cash flow, that's when you're going to have to maybe then make other decisions, right? Like maybe do you need to tweak the rates even a little bit more, or do you need to cut back on spending somewhere if that's possible, or whatever, whatever the case may be. But again, that's all more projection stuff and future stuff, not really what the audit focuses on, which is just what happened. Well, I know that's a lot to absorb in a short time frame. If you have any questions that come to mind later, throw me an email. You've all got it on the letterhead 3 times in your little packet there. Or filter them through the mayor or Janet or Angel. They know how to reach me as well. I'm out on the road auditing a lot, so email's the easiest way to get me. So yeah, just throw me an email if something comes to mind. I'll be happy to try to answer your questions best that I can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to approve the 24-25 audit.
I think she has a question.
Oh, yeah.
It's not on the vote thing, I don't remember my paper one. It was about the capitalism that we're voting on later.
The capitalization policy, yes.
Yeah.
So the original capitalization policy that we passed was like 20 years ago, I think, 20 years ago. And those dollar amounts that we set back then are just not reasonable anymore, because if we keep those dollar amounts where they were, we would be depreciating all kinds of items that it would just be too cumbersome, like, computers and certain printers and things like that. So this just sets that level just a little bit higher to account for 20 years of inflation, so that we don't have a depreciation schedule that's 10 pages long and difficult to maintain, and make sure that things are removed when they're junked and all that kind of stuff. So that's what that capitalization policy is about.
And one of my questions though was the land, you had it at 0.
We do that because we like to have on the schedule all land, just so we keep track of it. It gets depreciated over, I mean, it doesn't get depreciated. Land doesn't get depreciated. But we put that at 0 because we want a good list of all the land that the city owns.
Okay. That just had me confused because
That's why
we're
we do it.
selling property and I didn't want, I guess I didn't want the value to depreciate.
It doesn't.
So
Land
that-
does not.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if it needed to be, but I see why you're putting zeros.
Well, because a lot of times you get land by repossession or whatever, eminent domain or whatever, I don't know, per dollar. Sometimes it's donated to the city, like old school buildings, whatever. And so we set it at 0 because if you have it, we like to know it. You know, we don't lose track of it. But a $1,200 computer, you know, that stays on your depreciation schedule for 20 years.
Right.
Because nobody's looking at an 8 or 10 page depreciation schedule to try to maintain it. It's just not sensible, you know. Bigger entities have even larger thresholds than what that capitalization policy outlines, you know. But for your size, most of our villages are at that level, and so that's why I recommended those levels. If that gets passed tonight, then you email me a copy. Uh-huh.
I'll make a motion, we approve the audit.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Porter,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Bradshaw, Palmer,
Yes. Motion to reaffirm the collector appointment through May 2nd, 2029.
I'll make the motion to reaffirm the appointment.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Palmer.
No, I got a question on that. I was told by past aldermen and employees that this needs to be looked at. That there's an issue about double difference. And I don't know if it's true or what, you can't be an elected official and have a full-time job or something.
So I can address that. So Illinois, the municipal code specifically provides that the city collector is the de facto city collector, or the city clerk, excuse me, is the de facto city collector. Your ordinance specifically says that it's merely just adopting what's reflected in the code. So there wouldn't be any double dipping in this sense.
The one issue I had is that it went out through 2029, and in our ordinance, it starts first saying year 1, but I looked at it better, and it said a time then, that originally when I read it, it said it's yearly.
It's for, the ordinance says it's for a year, or is that the time as the city council shall designate?
Then I saw that it said the other.
Yeah.
However, did we ever get the ordinance correct? Did we make the resolution or whatever on this for the amount on where it says 173 about the pay?
I mean, that would have been done prior to the election of 25.
That you actually,
That-
the actual amount that states in the book.
Yeah,
I don't know if we ever
um,
changed it. I think I asked about it before, and for some reason I think maybe a resolution. But we can't, it would be.
That would be an
I think
ordinance
it-
to amend the ordinance.
Yeah, we would have to amend the ordinance on it, because we also had to amend the alderman pay in there as well.
Yeah.
So,
We did it at the same time.
we did it, yeah.
I'm talking about collector, not clerk.
Oh, collector, oh, okay, that, no, that's done through resolution, that pay. That was just a base pay.
And what was your question, Alderman?
Here, look at this.
The current pay for the collector is a salary of $1,570 per month.
Right, but she's not paid that, she's paid more than that. And we voted on it to raise it, but I don't think we ever changed the ordinance, and that should be changed, if I'm correct. I asked about it before. And I personally think it shouldn't have a dollar amount in there, so that it doesn't change each time you get a pay raise, because is this how much you paid this year or last year? Are you paid this?
That's
month?
last year.
Is this last
That
year's
was last
pay?
year's pay. Because they just got a raise.
Right. So,
Well, it just came into effect July 1st. Forward.
right,
Because we did the ordinance for the collector first and then the resolution for pay raises on there.
right.
So it just doesn't reflect it every time that comes due every year, unless you go in and make the ordinance every year.
I think the ordinance needs to be, I'm not saying you shouldn't get your pay raise, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, I think the ordinance needs to just state, shall be paid the salary of performance, whatever, per month. I mean, I don't think we need to put a dollar amount, a specific dollar amount. It could say, agreed paid upon council or whatever.
Can we amend the ordinance without writing a new ordinance?
No.
No,
have to make it
it, all cost,
And your legal fees, ordinance fees.
yeah, they were talking over $500 to change it at least, but we're not following our own ordinance.
Is that the base amount though?
I think that's what it was originally.
Yeah.
So if the base amount.
But it doesn't say that. And I'm not saying she shouldn't be paid what she's paid. I'm not stating that. I'm just stating our ordinance needs to be written different. The wording.
If you wanted to send over, if you guys wanted to change this ordinance, if you wanted to send over the specific language that you had an idea for having it changed, we could do it that way to try and reduce costs. I mean, it's a council decision to ever amend an ordinance, so it's up to you guys how you want it to read.
You know, literally, you're paying all that money just to say a base salary.
I wouldn't agree at this point whenever we're just tight on money and he just told us not to spend. But I want to bring that to,
Well, no, I mean, as far as, yeah, I mean, we're paying, basically, you're paying all the fees and everything to change, to add
right,
one word. I think as long as you don't go below that, I don't think it would be an issue. I don't think you need to modify it to say that's a base, because it
Well, let's
implies
see.
that that's a
does
base.
he see, have you seen this?
Would that,
We're talking about 1-7D-3.
would that imply that it's a base of this, and then you can go above that, you just couldn't go below?
Yeah, and from a legal standpoint, I mean, there are multiple municipalities where, yes, there are some ordinances that are not correct in terms of what they're being applied. And this is, like, just to your point, it's kind of like more of a base, you can go above. But if you guys wanted to correct the ordinance, or if you wanted to read in any different way, we can do that. We just need to know how you want it to read.
I think as long as it's implied that it's a base, I don't see the point in modifying it to say base. I mean, as long as legally it implies that, would that not be correct, or is that correct?
Just like, sort of like, do you agree? Is it, and resolutions just basically means that you basically kind of agree.
Correct, and it's, yeah. So to ever change an ordinance, you have to amend, you have to draft an ordinance that amends that specific ordinance.
Because we do a lot of resolutions. Right, do we need to do that many resolutions?
Resolutions are kind of more, the way to think of a resolution is taking a motion and putting it in written form. So when it comes to complex issues, we would suggest putting in a resolution just so the words that need to be said are said in the way that they need to be said. So, I mean, it's a you guys' decision. There are some things that the municipal code does require to be passed by an ordinance or a resolution. So it really just depends on what we're talking about.
I think we write a lot of resolutions and we could probably save money that way. Just my point, to me, the ordinance is more important than resolutions, correct?
It depends on the subject matter.
Because there's a resolution on
Well, I thought so, but I wanted to make sure.
On what?
On this, I think we did a
that. There's a resolution
resolution.
on that.
And resolution? Do we know when the resolution number or what?
Do you know, Jenna?
But I think we had a resolution, that's what I was asking,
Resolution
I'll check.
on the change in the pay.
To where she's at 3%, every year
We
there's a
did all the employees
resolution.
on 3%.
Yeah, so that would.
That's in the resolution, that's what I'm saying, that's in the resolution. But then Darren said resolutions don't mean anything, so.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about resolutions not meaning anything. They do carry legal significance, but the resolution for a salary increase, that it could be done that way, and that's not changing the ordinance necessarily. It's just, it's like a motion to make a 3% increase for water department employees, or just using that as example, or whatever. But that's what the resolution there would be doing.
Yeah, and there's one there.
I thought we did one, but I wasn't sure.
It was for all, it
No, it's because we,
was done in 2023, wasn't it?
yeah,
A couple of years.
I think we've done at least 2 rounds of those 3%. I know we did last year,
Yeah.
and this year, I don't remember if it was the third. I think
Can't
that's.
remember. It was either 2022 or 2023 when the resolution was put in place.
Roll call.
We already did. That's the capitalization.
Okay, capital.
That.
Motion to approve the resolution for capitalization policy.
Is that what he was just talking about?
What I just asked.
Oh, thank you. Hold on, say this one. This one. This is, we'll pass this one.
Yeah.
Pass this down to everybody. Thank you.
I read it all around, I mean, you know what it said. Because I asked a question.
This is says the auditor.
And the auditor wrote that resolution.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2026-4. I will second.
Okay, roll call.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Palmer. Nelson.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Walden.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes. Okay, motion to appoint zoning board member Chuck Sloan. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Palmer.
Yes.
Walden.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Porter.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Go to engineer report.
Sure. We'll start with the water treatment plant. The new water treatment plant, we've had a few updates that have happened out there as of recently. Number one, we've taken out the nitrate tank out of the old water treatment plant, had all service remediate all the media inside, put new media into the old vessel, been cleaned, mounted to this skid that you guys approved, I think on our last change order for the last session that we had, and it is up and sanitized and ready to go. So for us, the water treatment plant manually can be ran and actually start to be tested out. We still have to work on telemetry controls. However, all of the tower and all the communication is about 80% complete right now with the telemetry system. We're still waiting for a few outbound parts to get everything to integrate, and that would include the wells, your tower, all of the communication for switching on, switching off, and then being able to monitor your new plant. The old water treatment plant, as you've seen, you guys don't have a taste of the sandworms. It's the last piece of the interconnecting pipe that would actually be going into the building. It is stubbed up inside the building. We were waiting for the crew to do their final disconnect of nitrate tank 2 and the interconnect of the old water treatment into the new water treatment tie-in. Once we see the telemetry controls and the well functions and the water tower are all starting to communicate with the new water treatment plant, we would then make that final connection with nitrate tank 2 movement into the new plant with remediation or cleanup starting, and then that would move both nitrate tanks into the new water treatment plant. You'd solely then be running on the new plant, and then the final interconnect from the ground storage tank and the old water treatment plant would be finalized, and that would pretty much end your project mechanically, and then we'd have the small odds and ends or just general cleanup that might endure at that time. As of with this schedule, we move the second nitrate tank, which will be closer towards the latter half of this month. That would also get us into the final repair of the epoxy floor in the building. So then, hopefully this is getting set to match, and we can move on and have a nice clean install and an integrated water treatment plant to run off of. If anyone has any questions concerning any of these things, please let me know.
Jack mentioned committee at the whole that be pumping water in about 3 weeks out there.
Yes, that's what we're technically wanting to do. Our contract end, we gave an extension to the end of this month. We gave ourselves enough time because there's always small things that come up as you try to get everything up and operational. We wanted to have a buffer of only about a week, maybe about a week and a half to try and correct or to get things back online and have it operational by the end of the month.
Just out of curiosity, what's the final sign-off procedure for that project? Like who from the city ultimately says we're good, signs off on this?
First off, it starts with the water itself. Once the final bacteria testing is done and turned in for permitting to the IEPA, which right now we're running on a verbal. So what happens is I've submitted several permits back and forth with samples that say that, hey, you guys have tested this half of the water treatment plant, you tested that half coming in. Now we've tested all the tankage that's in there, and the nitrate is the nitrate tanks would be the last piece of your puzzle. Once that permit goes in, we can operate on a verbal permit. Once I turn in the final permit that says, hey, everything is closed, we are initiating final payment on the project, goes into the IEPA, they do final permitting and closure, and then that sets the motion for the closure of the loan, lets IEPA know, it sets them into the final inspection, which they'll review all the data that we have taken and turned into them. And typically it's between 6 and 8 months that we might get an on-site review, or they'll review the plans and or any of the documentation and ask for some or quite a few other pieces that they might need to complete it. Then they'll actually would be closure of your loan, send you your final paperwork with your loan status and what your repayment schedule would be over the time period that you need. It was kind of somewhat discussed with your CPA earlier. That's the actual closure portion of it. The city's responsibility in this case is to witness a final walkthrough. Hey, is there anything that you guys see out of the ordinary or out of normal? The actual judging factor on if everything is correct goes between the engineering firm IEPA. As far as the building, you guys sit in a unique position because you don't actually have a building inspector for your area to inspect the commercial building of this actual class in this area. I do have our MEP designer, which will do their final walkthrough, which will give our final look through on all the electrical, all the HVAC, any of the MEP components that would relate to the building. The rest of the other components will have As the water treatment plant is up and operational, we'll have Marlowe, the maker of all the filtration system. We'll also have Ari Pradrati there programming and fine tuning. Even though we are up and running, we meet parameters, everything's going, they'll probably be fine tuning to meet either jack specifications or what the city needs, or for telemetry data that would be most important to change up on the screens or to monitor your system. So there's a lot that's involved, but the actual closure comes from the IEPA. Final inspection comes between the engineering firms and or the sign off between the city. And the way I've got your building set up right now, pretty much all the codes that you would have here in Illinois or in Indiana for this type of class of building, you have met or exceeded those requirements. Some of the things that I have jumped into and we've looked at into our specs for the fireproofing of the building, because you have wood trusses, making sure that your fire tape, making sure that your smoke alarms are in there. You have a egress plan. So if you guys ever did get inspected by some type of county official in this matter for insurance reasons, the building will pass. I don't have any fear or any recollection that that would be a problem for you guys. Anything else?
I have a question, I don't know if you can answer it.
I'll try.
Because we get grants from EPA, if we get a fine, that won't ever impact any of our grants, will it?
It could, in particular, I'm not 100% privy to which fine you came into. I assume that it was probably on the sanitary sewer.
There has been, that's an important thing, there has been no fine that's been issued yet.
Okay, but there.
But if there is,
It's just sampling,
There's a risk.
it's just general sampling, I take
It's for
it.
DMR reporting.
Okay, so in that case, if, let's say it was to be related to a test that the IEPA mandated that you had to do on your water system to verify that you were 100% lead-free, it could impact your next grant if you did not follow through with last year's filing and you're trying to go for next year's money. I have not, don't hold me to this, I would have to look into it. I've not seen that happen yet. Usually they deal with infractions directly, either with a plan of forgiveness. Hey, you've got a plan of action that you're going to propose. We'd like to talk to you about it first. If that can't be reached, then you would go into some type of monetary fine. But as far as I know, does it take you out of the nomination or a list of a grant? I would have to look into that because I've not seen it happen yet. Any other questions? And just duly noted to look out for on your end, I will look at on the well side. You had the question of 625 square feet buffer zone around your wells. I will look into that, and if I find out anything different or updated records, because I can get those really quickly from my EPA, I will pass it on to the city and they can turn it to you. I don't know if that'll help you or not.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move it on to motion to approve the invoice of water main project. Petersburg Heating and Plumbing disbursement, $68,173.37. Chastain's invoice, $15,497.76. Total, $83,671.13.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Roll call.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Porter,
yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve invoice of lead service project, Petersburg disbursement, $93,342.94. Chastain invoice, $1,562.35. Total, $94,905.29.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Okay, roll call.
Walden,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Okay, moving on to motion approved police handbook.
My suggestion would be not to approve it until there's corrections made. But it's just me. Just the wording in a couple spots. And then there's no mention, and I don't know if it needs to be in here or not. If you have active military duty, that they still get paid for that. That's not mentioned. I don't know if it needs to be in this or not.
We could look into it to make sure. I believe that there's a state law that would mandate that, so it wouldn't
So it wouldn't need to be
it's already
in this.
law. So it
Okay.
doesn't need to be in there.
And then you had a question on one of them.
So these didn't get put into it, or, because that's what I thought these were, with all the corrections to what we had highlighted, needed corrected. I thought that's what all the ones on the front page were. Or are you talking about they haven't been integrated into it? So I thought that's what those on the front.
I think some of yours is just corrections in general, not just
Right,
what they
right.
added in.
Because it
Read
says,
through all of it.
like, the police committee, we don't do that anymore. So does it just need to say police chairman, or does it say, it need to say city council in
There's a
spots?
committee. There's 3 people on the committee.
How did I not know that?
You should have a piece of paper that shows who's all on the committees.
I thought it was just chairman, and then we have the committee of the whole.
Chairman and then 2 other,
So people assigned to it. We never made, we had talked about vacating the committee completely, but we decided not to.
Because we don't do it that way. We don't do the committees. We just do the committee of the whole.
The intent of that was if there's an issue that needs to be resolved, then it can go to that committee. That was the intent. So yes, it is written in that ordinance that there still is, if you want to call them like subcommittees. Yeah.
The only thing I know was that I'm on the parks. So where is this list? Do you guys know what ones you're on?
Yes,
Up in your box, not too long ago.
Was it
I
what I
have it right
said?
here.
it probably,
I don't know.
I think it was.
in there, though.
could have been.
I took some.
This is what's happening.
May I see it?
So I'm back to this normal
I'll
copy.
get back.
There's only just a couple of.
It's nothing.
We amend this.
I don't remember how I got my hands
Here.
on it, but
But
that's.
do you understand the question
You just
on
don't-
page
just in
9?
case.
Page 9.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Page
I
9.
didn't hear you.
Said something about 2018.
Page. We're at.
It's
We're
your
talking
page
about-
where it says 2018. So is that the thing on the very first page? He had a thing. Maybe that's because it's quick.
Comp time should be granted to salary, but not hourly rate.
We were talking about the questions that Jeffrey had, right, at the last meeting?
We did it all.
And I thought we had it taken care of. I thought so.
I think, Kevin, is there anything in here that hasn't been fixed?
Not that I noticed. I understand what Kim's talking about, but not that I had noticed. I think most of the stuff that I had concerns with had already been addressed in prior ordinances, so I was good.
Because I think the only thing that came up under comp time was just clarifying that it was basically use it or lose it upon termination, upon no longer employment.
Officially.
Yeah, because it's in the paragraph, so they got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is actually correct.
Okay.
Because Juneteenth holiday is in there.
think Lincoln's birthday had been added in there or something also, like, it looks like, I think what Kim was referring to was it's verbiage for the 15 years of vacation or something, it said after, and I thought it was to be changed
There's actually some.
at 15 years or something.
It's after 1 year, and then after 2 to 10 years, 11 to 14, then after 15.
That's that.
Okay.
Nobody's made a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the amended police manual.
Okay, roll call.
Porter,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes. Okay, motion approved Rob for $10,000.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Okay, roll call.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes. I got a question, because I did dig that out, and we did approve that at a cow meeting. It was at a cow meeting, because I had the actual paper, I didn't bring it with me, but
You're correct.
we did already approve 10,000, so I just want to make sure we're not doubling up.
No, this is just reaffirming that action was taken at the county.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Already did it.
We still
Dana, where do they store that at? Up here or out there?
It depends. A lot of times he'll have it stored out there.
Okay, a motion approved tree bid for $11,650.
No, you can have it if you want.
motion. I'll second.
Yeah. there you go.
Roll call.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Palmer,
No.
Porter,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Walden,
Yes.
The reason why, don't we still have work to do, Dana, from stump grinding and stuff from the last time we cut trees down?
As far as I know, no.
No, I am, I'm at a board meeting.
Kathy, I mean,
No, you're fine. Which
Still
team?
got a roof there.
That, you'd have to talk to Darren about
I
that.
didn't know if
Yeah.
she got her stuff down there.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's the only reason why, because I probably still have work to do.
Sure.
From last time.
One of the facts brought up is we're approving to pay this up front, right?
No,
So
We do not pay up
We
front.
will get paid at the end of when the trees are done, right?
it won't be a total.
Not all.
I think we'll do like 3 or 4 trees at a time, or what?
Because we got the breakdown list of the bid, what he did for each tree
Yeah.
that's on there.
But
So
you
is
won't
that
get
what he's
paid.
paid, when he gets that tree done, he gets paid that much, or how's that
I
set
think-
up? I don't know, it's not broken
I think
down.
last time we did like in 3 payments, didn't we? Like third, and
Yeah,
third.
he'll do anywhere from 2 to 5 trees, and then he'll want it.
I think we did last time, a third, a third, a third.
Yeah.
Because he has to submit it to get paid. for
Yeah.
it.
It has to be completed. And I think that's what we did.
Okay, motion to approve the CTI for the water plant and the street shed.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Palmer,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Nelson, Porter, yes, Walden,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes. Committee of the whole meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026 at 6 PM at City Hall, 229 North Chestnut, Sunshine, Illinois.
I got a question. Committee as a whole, we talked about street sign for building and stuff. Do we need to make orders on that?
depends on what street sign you guys are wanting to do.
I don't know,
New subdivision?
are we?
Just like a sign for the subdivision, or are we talking
No,
about
street sign.
speed limit, we talking stop signs?
Yeah,
That-
speed limit.
I think maybe with the stop sign, you do need to do an ordinance. I don't even know if you need to do a traffic study.
No, because you're not on an active, you shouldn't because you're not on an active state right of way or county right of way. That was given to you guys, so I would assume that you would just have a standard stop bar, stop sign following standard protocol with your street address or your street sign up there.
Because brought up the committee, that's all I got from that.
Well, so can we, so most dead end subdivisions have a standard state speed limit, correct?
You can propose, there's not really a standard state for like a cul-de-sac in a subdivision.
Okay. So we would have to do an ordinance basically setting a speed? What if is there a way that you can set the speed without, like, what I'm wondering is there a state standard neighborhood speed or whatever that we could just use that so we don't have to spend the money to create an ordinance?
Do you have any other posted signs within your neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's only 25 mile an hour.
If that's what it's always been, I don't know why you would need to change anything else, make that a 25 mile an hour. You're not butting up to a state right of way,
Okay.
and you're not butting up to, you guys own the road, it was given to you, so it's not like you're up against a county road or an adjoining, where they can put anything, you're not into a mouth of traffic or commerce or a letdown ramp. So basically subdivision rules would apply, but I can check with our land development side and see it.
So with that, just since that's being annexed into the city, the previous ordinances would just cover that automatically.
So if you're 25 mile an hour here, you could set a 25 mile an hour sign over there, and that would be your, I think that would be the easiest way to keep it, because you're not in somewhere where you'd have to do a traffic study, or that you have to monitor, you don't even have any sidewalks that go out there, you have no ADA ramping. But that's a safe speed to just get it set at, and that's what the rest of your town is, it's pretty easy to monitor.
Except for
This street is not.
Do what?
I think this street's 15.
Well, but I mean, you can use whatever speed is in the normal residential neighborhoods. So it wouldn't necessarily be Chestnut anyway, it'd be whatever the straight residential street speeds is. Since basically it's grandfathered in, we don't have to reinvent the wheel at $800.
So what, you just go to a street sign and a stop sign at the end?
Yep.
So no ordinances or anything needs to be done?
What about Union Street?
I believe you do need to adopt an ordinance for that.
You do.
Do you have to file anything with the county since you're?
We are in Main Street.
We file, we have to file anything with the county.
I thought that was already done.
I was gonna say she's already done it all, right?
So that's all good. So the only thing we have to do is put signs up.
I have a question too. The committee of the whole, we approved a minute, and then we realized that there was something not in the minutes that probably should be. It was about the rock. Should we reapprove that tonight, or?
You just did.
We did it.
That's what the vote for the rock was.
No, the minutes, the cow minutes, but we don't have.
Okay, I'm at a meeting, so.
So we just do that
We'll
at
be at a cow meeting,
All right, thank you.
Just vote to amend.
vote to correct or to amend the minutes to whatever however you want to read.
But to answer your question, I will check with land development, since your completion date for your subdivision is at a certain age, it may require for the safety standards, where you put your stop sign, you also have a painted stop bar area that's painted on the ground. So let me check on that, so you guys, because it's your new addition, it should be within the compliance of the new rules, but nothing else there that we talked about, you guys should be able to set the speed limit. It'd just be sign placement and any of your road markings that might need to be updated just for the subdivision.
Cool.
You actually do. Ordinance 6-7-10, no vehicle shall be operated on a city street in excess of 20 miles per hour. And then the next ordinance underneath it specifies where it's reduced, and it names the streets.
Okay. So 20.
So that's what
Yeah.
I thought it said speeding since it's 25. Yeah, say 25.
Most of them are,
20.
most of them are 25.
Speed limit sign,
Yeah.
it's in town, 25.
Yeah. Now, this was adopted, this is ordinance 696, and it was adopted on 9/7 of 2016. So we're kind of curious to hear the minutes on that. That was before my time.
Because 20, I mean, the speed
No,
limit.
you are right, yeah, you
Say
are right.
25 signs. So everybody's speeding, you're taking a ticket.
Actually, nobody knows that. Nobody tell Kevin.
Yeah.
Keep this amongst ourselves.
Don't they know race?
Motion adjourned. I'll make the motion. Okay. Roll call.
Walden.
Yes.
Sullivan. Porter. Palmer. Nelson. Bradshaw.